without being able to transform the to move the drawing model between two software simply because you have created it in a slightly newer version. Autodesk's AutoCAD 2020 is not able to open 2022 version. So this is the challenge which all of us are having. So I am currently working on a project, and I'm using Revit LT version. So since I have saved it in the 2022 version, I'm not able to go back to the 20. I'm not able to go back to the 2020 or any other version. Anybody who wants to open the model has to have the latest version. And any idea on what is the cost of AutoCAD, the software? Anybody knows what is the cost of this AutoCAD software, please? Or StatPro for the matter? Each of
About
this
1 lakh.
is, it's about 1 lakh per year. You're
Yes,
right.
sir. It's subscription.
It's 1 lakh per year. Okay. So if you look at if you are an entrepreneur, I want many of you to be entrepreneurs from this group. In fact, we at construction management team, we are working on an open source ERP. Okay? I'll come back to that probably a little later. But the important thing here is we are finding that software is very expensive. The data is being held captive because you're not allowing to go from one to another. You're not allowing the data to go from one software to another software. So what is the solution to this problem? The solution to this problem is, first and foremost, we have to be open to using open source tools. Any idea on what are the open source tools which are available for civil engineers? I am particularly promoting a product, I mean, among students especially, a product called FreeCAD. Okay, what is this FreeCAD? It is a Python-based uh, drafting software. And I don't know if any first year civil engineering students are here. Any first year civil engineering students are here, please? Um, any first year civil engineering students? Okay.
Fourth year, sir.
Fourth year is fine. Yeah, I am specifically hoping that we have some of the first year students because simply because they are learning Python now. The first year civil engineering students are learning Python, and the final year civil engineering students, if you say, look, I am doing a work on BIM, I want a customization done. It will be great. Honestly, it will be really nice. So what happens is we try to give what you call as go through the life cycle of a building nowadays, and we need a lot of data. Okay, so we are, for example, right now I was just talking about how data is being generated by so many sources: architect, railway engineer, geotechnical engineer, structural engineer. If it would be nice if suppose one of the structural engineers in this group tells us what are the structural components which are likely to come in this metro station which I'm projecting on the screen, right? So I got a picture on the screen. What are the likely elements which are going to come onto this? So you'll be finding that you're having your truss steel structures. There'll be some pedestals, concrete structures. Then you're going to have some tunnels. You have to line the tunnels. All of these are coming in. Okay. You need to analyze. You need to really work on all of this. So if you see a software like, for example, Revit. Okay, let me just open Revit, and you will see that a lot of elements are being generated. Lots and lots of elements are being, lots and lots of data is being generated. Just a minute, please. Revit is a little heavyweight software, so it takes a little time to open. Right. So there is a little bit of history behind this project. When the people who gave me this project started this project, they were not having what was the required guidance, proper guidance as to what is required to be created. What are the things? I don't know if you're. I don't know if you're able to see it clearly. Are you able to see my screen clearly enough, especially whatever is on the left and other things?
Yes, sir.
Right. So those of you who are familiar with Revit, you might be thinking, "Arey, this is a very simple thing we are talking about." But I request you to bear with me. This is Revit LT. So those of you who are familiar with reinforcement and other things might find it a little difficult. Guys, I just want to make, I mean, like some of you may have just joined in. Yes, you are expecting architect Lakshmi Prasad here, but I am sitting here and filling in the time. Architect Lakshmi Prasad is stuck in traffic. Bangalore, it started to rain. Earlier, he had at 4:45, he had told me he had car trouble. Now the gentleman is having trouble with the elements. I request your patience. I am sure that you will find it worth your time if you just wait for him to when he joins in. Okay. Meanwhile, whatever we are talking about is about BIM, Building Information Modeling, and BIM is a process, and we are trying to help you get a little to speed so that when he starts his interaction with you, you will be not you will be able to contribute or discuss meaningfully. One of the very important things I wish to ask all of you to do is don't hesitate to ask questions, and when you are asking questions, it means that you are thinking. And a very important thing is these are people who will not mind any questions. They are people who are having the see when you are young, you have the motivation to be greedy, but these people will be very open with their knowledge. Okay, so let me come back here. We were talking about the amount of data which gets generated in a project. We are trying to we are wanting the data to be reused. In other words, what the architect creates, it should be used as such by the structural engineer, and whatever is the drawing which is passed on, it should be used as such by a construction manager. And once the construction is done, you do a very important thing called as-built drawings, right? So you will find that there are many funny things that happen when you're inside, and it may mean that the drawing which is received by you by the architect and structural engineer might not be used as such. There might be some minor modification which are done to adjust to site condition. Example, foundation. Okay, foundation level is very difficult to ascertain. You have a very you don't have a level ground. You have a ground which is undulating and having different shapes, and this means you find it very difficult to get the founding level, and this will change in the drawing. uh, I mean, like it may not be the same as what the structural engineer gives, just as an example. Now look at this. If you see here, there is a lot of information which is being put in this sheet. Who approved this? JSP. Who designed it? JSP. Who checked it? SJ. This is Professor Simon. Okay. And who drew it? It was again John, me. So what is happening here? There's a number. What is this detail? This is the detail for this sheet. Okay, just for this drawing sheet, all this data has been created. Now, let us probably go for some element. Okay, so let me go to some element over here. So if you see, we have two kinds of things: the actual structural part, which is there, and then there are some finishes. So what happens over here? You get whenever you are putting a Revit model, whenever you're putting a model, you can also give a lot of information along with it. What it is, how is it coming, so on and so forth. So let me take for example a wall. Okay, let's take this. There's a wall over here. So when I open this, 1 minute. When we get this wall, you see that there is a lot of information which is coming, like what is the top level, because all the levels have been given in Revit, and what is the height to which it is going. Now just imagine, today we are all talking about 3D printing. Okay, those of you who would have had the orientation recently, attended the orientation recently would have heard the dean talk about bringing in the 3D printing. So the moment you are able to say that from this level to that other level, particular work is being done, immediately you are able to get the idea of the whole structure. Okay, what is going to be worked with. So again, just one of the advantages of working on a 3D platform, because BIM models revolve around a 3D platform. Okay, so I'm sorry, it's taking a little time to load. So if you are going to have the 3D model fully available, if you're having the 3D model fully available with you, you'll find that you are very easily in a position to have this done by uh, any any automation which is available. So if you're we had an opportunity to construct a prefabricated lab. Those of you who are going to, I mean, I really hope that all of you come to the campus soon. There's an advanced structural engineering lab with sophisticated loading frames, like for dynamic loading. That building was done using the prefabricated technologies. Now, what is the advantage? If you are going to have prefabricated technologies, see here, this particular column will have a column mark. Okay, this column will have a column mark, which means that we can tell what exactly is this code. And if suppose this is getting designed, so the design engineer has given his design for this particular element. It gets fabricated, and they can put a QR code or something like that. So you can have a QR code. You can have a one of these RFID tags. Okay, RFID tags embedded inside this concrete. So when it passes through the factory itself, you can tell this has gone out of my factory because the RFID code has been scanned. When it enters into the job site, RFID can be scanned. And if any of the construction engineers are using your imagination, this is an area of great interest. Okay. Now we are talking about all of this. What is the challenge in India? The challenge in India is we are depending on other countries for standards. For example, IS 456 is a copy of the British standard 8100. If you're looking at the Indian code 800/2007, it's a copy of the Australian standard. You can do a study. I did a study in 2000 when the code was brought out. I was just in my engineering in those days. So I took, and when I saw 8100 and British Indian standard matching very closely, I was a little surprised. And again, I mean, I don't know about whether, because there has been quite a lot of revisions in the British standard, but the difference between the Indian standard and the British standard was only the stress block. Okay, we used a parabolic stress block, they use a linear stress block. Okay, so but we are copying, the point which I wish to make is we are copying from other places, other countries. So this makes it a very what you call as it's not a very nice scenario. It is not a very nice scenario. So we are sometimes paying a lot of money to others for using these standards. For example, the barcode which you use is not an Indian standard. Somebody else has said what this barcode should do. Same thing with the QR codes. I'm not saying we have to reinvent the wheel, but what we have to do is we have to ensure that we don't pay royalties to any of these other countries. All the programmers in the top companies, okay, Microsoft has an Indian on top, so on and so forth. Like so many big companies have Indians on top. Google has an Indian on top. Why is it that we are not able to do it? Okay, it's not that we can't do it. If suppose all of you try and start putting your efforts into this, we can do something. Like for example, suppose we are able to standardize this code name, it's quite possible that across organizations we will be able to work on this one. Okay, so yeah, this is one of the areas, key areas where we are losing out as Indians. Okay, Indians are losing out on some key areas. One of them is this lack of standards. Okay, the code name, okay, for example, a chat, right, could be standardized across organizations. So you'll find that we are having some uh, benchmark, I mean some values which are common. Okay, so uh, you can think of working towards standardization. You can think of working towards standardization. Okay, so this is one of the key areas of BIM. Okay, guys, I just hope like it's almost 8 o'clock. He told that he's going to join by 8. I'll just probably give him a call. Okay, thank you so much for your patience. And if you have any questions, please ask me just after I make this call. Okay. Hello, sir. Yes, sir. No, no problem. No, no, no. I understand, sir. Sir, you just refresh yourself and just come in. We are about 50 of the students have joined in, and so we are all eagerly expecting to see you, sir. Yes, 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 yes. So some of the structural engineers have also joined, but all of them are MTech students, sir. So I think it will be a very good session. Thank you so much. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No problem, sir. No problem. Please, please come, sir. Thank you. Guys, thank you so much for your patience. Okay, this I really appreciate. I really appreciate it because like this gentleman I spoke yesterday, and he was introduced to me by one of the leaders in BIM. So one Dr. Amarnath is there. In fact, he's also part of a board of studies. So through him, because of my interest in BIM, he introduced me to architect Lakshmi Prasad. Okay, so when architect Lakshmi Prasad was interacting, he was actually very impressed, and I hope, okay, and I hope that all of you use this opportunity to interact with him, get from him his experience. He's very passionate about bringing in digital technologies. And yesterday he was telling me about how we have to get rid of Autodesk from the Autodesk from our ecosystem and train everybody on BM. And in fact, I'm very happy to tell that slowly I'm seeing a very big change in the attitude of different uh, people, not only in industry, also in academia, to adopt these technologies. Okay, so one of the things which I always tell my students in the classes to keep the cameras open. So at least MCT students, I know you know my expectation on this front. I request you all to please turn on your cameras. It will be nice. Thank you, Milgesh. And you can, those of you who are not familiar with Teams, there is a feature called, like you can have a virtual background. My background is with my dining room behind me. My family members are also having to go around. But you see, it's doing a very good job. So if you want to do this, please go to those three buttons and you'll have something called apply background effects. Okay, please apply the background effects and it will be good. Unfortunately, there is something called the large gallery which I'm not able to enable. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Uh, those of you who are able to please share your camera, please do share the camera. Okay. So finally, friends, my conclusion of what I'd like to put across to all of you is BIM is a process. Okay, process means you will be telling for example, what is the, this is a thing which I copied shamelessly from my L&T days. So for example, I'm using this numbering scheme T1801, right? So it means it's a tender, which I'm helping actually with the tendering process for a trust, T1801. So 00, it is a discipline code which we can change. CIV, immediately you know it's civil, ERC architecture, and drawing number is 16, right? So this kind of thing where you say the font which I'll go use. For example, if I'm going to use VIT, what is the font we have to use? That has to be a constant, right? And drawing sheet arrangement. Okay, so irrespective of the project, when a drawing goes out of an organization, it should be the same. So there's a process. This is BIM. Who is going to give what, right? So the roles and responsibilities of people are well defined. Again, things like even um, the things like how you are going to share the data. What is the data security? Okay, is another important thing. So the top, what you call as the country where BIM was highly focused on is it was in the UK. In fact, ISO 19650 is the standard for BIM. 19650 is the standard for BIM. Countries like Singapore and Malaysia have got very good BIM standards. And beyond this, okay, over and above this, the other thing is that, um, yeah, Middle East is also going in for BIM. So everything is on a digital platform. We are trying to integrate everything on one digital model, and we are trying to pass the information and update all the information on one digital model. Okay, so this is a little bit about BIM. Let me just yeah, let us just wait for 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm sure that I mean, like, he's entered his house, so he let him just come in. He's a senior person, so let us just give him a little credit. Okay, thank you so much, and once again for joining in. Right. 1 minute. I think somebody is no. Mhm. Okay, guys. While we wait, I will probably just take a I'll just demonstrate to you what is this BIM execution plan. I mean, like I told that we have to have a process, right? So let me just show you a process. This was created by one of the BTech students. So I mean, like, I know some of the BTech students are also here, and it doesn't mean that only MTech or master students need to be able to do this work. But I hope more of the master students do it. So you see, when we talk about a BIM execution plan, I can have, like, this is the probably the first document which is circulated in an when you are doing a BIM operation. So the first thing is we get who is who from the project, right? So the data. So essentially, this is like a template which we have created, so that the next project which we get, we will be simply putting all this data in and then getting the information. Okay. So you can see that there are a few things. There is something called the project life cycle. What is this project life cycle? If suppose you take a project, you'll find that there is a construction manager. You see that there's an architect. After that, you have some project management consultant. You got structural engineers. You got geotechnical engineers. You got um, the project managers themselves, and so many other people who come in. These people work in a certain stage. For example, the architect works a lot in the initial stages. Geotechnical engineer is likely to work a lot in the again in the stages where there's foundation or some earthwork. So suppose it's a road project, maybe when the RE walls are all done, the geotechnical engineer comes in. Okay, so let this nowadays we are looking at right up to decommissioning of buildings. So the life cycle, we try to see how much it is there. Okay. So you can see the project information is put in, and then what are the important dates? Who is the owner? So this is these are some of the organization chart. See, for example, if you come to VIT, we have the top management. We have the top management. The top management, and then below them we have our dean. We have deans. Below the deans we have HODs, and then we have our faculty members. So this is probably the organization chart of education institution. So we need to know who is the project manager, who is the BIM manager, who are the discipline leads, and other roles. Okay. So we also have the project goal explicitly stated. We have the project goal explicitly stated where all BIM is going to be used. Now, if you look at this, there is one more what you call as important term which will come, level of detail. So I just request you to go into this level of detail. So you have 100, 200, 250, LOD 500, so on and so forth. What does each of this stand is something which is ideally looked up by you. So it depends on how much details is present in the whole thing. Okay. Now, BIM is digital working. Who is going to store which file and what is going to be the file naming sequence? This is a very important aspect. Why do I say it's a very important aspect? Just by looking at the file name, you should be in a position to say, yes, this is what it means. And typically it is for a project. So you can say this document belongs to the initial stages. It is for the time when this particular milestone. See, we've got some milestones also put. So in which milestone it is going to be used. Okay. And another very important thing is you should be able to tell from where data goes to which place. Okay. So from where data goes to which place. So these are all some of the very important things which we do. Right. So this is right from the what you call as the documentation for BIM which we have. And if you see here, it is not having any of the pictures which we talk about. It is not having a Revit model. It's not having anything of that sort. It is plain and simple a plan as to say who's going to do what. Okay. So if suppose people are like thinking that BIM is always a pretty picture, please think of it a little differently. Okay, please think of it a little differently, because this is something which I hope that you guys think of. And one of the other important things is we need a common data environment. So if you look at this one, this is SharePoint, which is a common data environment which I use. So anybody to whom I want to give right, we can do it. So this is of course this is paid version, and this is done by I mean so here what happens is we can manage access. Who is going to work with what? So sometimes see, for example, there one student who just passed out, one Kunal. He used to work with me. He used to work in fact with a lot of our faculty members. So he was what I call as one of the key members. So he has got a lot of I mean he's been working 1 minute. I hope it is Architect Lakshmi Prasad. Oh, guys, this is L&T's head here, head of digital initiatives, Dr. Amarnath. Welcome on board, Dr. Amarnath. Really a pleasant surprise.
Hi, Professor Brown. Good evening.
Yes, Dr. Amarnath. So nice to see you. Friends, we have with us a surprise visitor, Dr. Amarnath. Dr. Amarnath was the person who introduced me to Architect Lakshmi Prasad. Dr. Amarnath is a BIM enthusiast, and he is the head of digital initiatives at L&T. So maybe all of us can give a high five to welcome Dr. Amarnath on board, please. And sir, yes, can you just turn your video on? I don't know if suppose there's any block. Let me just put the spotlight on you. And yes, sir. Welcome on board, sir.
Sir, this is fine. I'm at home. There is a network issue.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Audio. It's a mobile device.
Yes, sir.
Well, good to know that there is a session happening with all the students. Is there
Yes,
echo
sir.
with my conversation? It's fine.
Actually, your voice is breaking a little, sir.
Okay. Just a minute.
Yes, sir.
How about now, John?
The voice is clear, sir.
Now the voice is clear, right? Okay.
Yes, Dr. Manan.
So, well, suddenly Lakshmi Prasad said, join the session. I don't know what's happening. If you can
Okay.
just give me a brief,
Okay.
it can help.
Actually, we were having a session where he can interact with the students. These are the master's students here, and they are. We thought that we should bring them up to speed on BIM so that in the 2 years when they are here, they try to inculcate a sense of understanding how we can digitize any process, and also I guess to instill from a very from the very beginning that BIM is a process rather than a pretty picture.
Correct, correct, correct. So, well, I do think that there are 50 students here, roughly
Sir,
50
there are roughly
people.
50 members here, sir.
So, you
Let me
have a
just
master's. So, this master's is for construction management or it's a different departments?
we have actually a few we have a mix of structural engineers and construction managers, sir.
Okay, structural and construction management.
Correct, correct, correct.
Interesting. So, these are final year students?
They are the first year students, sir.
First year
Most of them are
students.
first year students. I don't know if suppose we have any of the senior students, guys. Any of the second year master students are here? Please, can you just raise your hands so that we can take a quick head count.
Yeah, there's
Arshit,
one person.
sir. Yes. One, two, Rajsi, yeah, two, Abhinath, three of the senior students are here, sir. So that makes around 47 of them as 46 of them as the uh, students who are from this one, from the first year.
Interesting. Nice to meet you all. And is it session starting now or it's ending?
Sir,
I have no
actually,
clue.
Dr. Architect Lakshmi Prasad got caught in the rain. So he got delayed. So it's almost half an hour since we were just waiting for him.
Oh, he hasn't joined, is it yet?
Yes, yes, not joined it, sir.
Sorry, sorry. Okay, so it was more of introductory session, is it? About what to be done.
Yes, yes. Interactive sessions so that students get to know Architect Lakshmi Prasad and vice versa, so that there can be some meaningful interactions subsequently.
So well, I can answer on his behalf. If there is a
Yes, sir.
questions or anything, which is interesting
Basically,
for the candidate. They have
that can
queries.
be a start, sir. Suppose you can just give a brief introduction, and then we can have the students pose their questions to you.
So you don't need me to share slides and all. I can just have an interaction, right?
Yes, 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 sir. Friends, I hand over the session to Dr. Amarnath, who is currently doing all the digital initiatives in L&T. Essentially, conversion of all the manual processes to BIM and the like. And L&T is really doing very good in many of the projects. The Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel Statue of Unity was wouldn't have been possible without BIM. They are also doing a very big project on the outer the ring road in over the sea, the sea link in Mumbai. Amarnath sir, without much delay, I'm just passing the session to you. Sir, yes, sir.
And what I'm doing is I'm opening my system so that I can get slides.
Sir, Amarnath sir, Architect Lakshmi Prasad is also in, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but please continue, sir. Please continue, sir.
Okay, okay.
Sir, your voice is breaking, sir.
No, what I'm doing is I've opened my system now.
Okay, okay, okay.
And I'm trying to share the because I don't want to make session messy without having some information.
Okay, okay.
Just give me a second.
Yes, sir, please.
This was a sudden information given for me to come and join the session.
Okay, but anyway, it was a pleasant surprise for all of us, and we are very glad that you could join us, sir.
Can I get an access to share the screen?
Yeah, sir, I'm just giving you presenter rights. Sorry, just a minute, please. Sir, 1 minute. Make a presenter. Sir, now you should be able to present, sir.
Yeah, correct. Thank you. So, well, I do think that most of your students would have attended some of my sessions. So slides may be little bit repeating, but I don't want to discuss all the slides, but I want to know what kind of discussions you want to have, what kind of queries you have, what is your future plans. Obviously, if you have 40 to 50 students here, you will have three kind of plans. One, people want to go for higher education, and some people want to go for a startup, some people want to go for jobs. So I do agree that you will have proportion of people from each of these categories here, right?
Yes, sir.
So feel free to ask your questions based on what you mean, what is the kind of trends now. I will just show you some slides here to give you the importance of BIM. Okay, so currently I work in L&T. I'm heading the BIM strategies. So being one of the leading EPC contractor in Asia, we are very keen on digitalization, and we do take care of formulating the strategies for each of our business to make sure that we are digitally transforming with our competitors, and also make sure that our clients are getting good benefits out of what we are doing. You're able to see my screen, John? The screen is visible?
Yes, sir. Visible.
So, well, when it comes to BIM, it's very much critical for all our professionals. It may be an architect or a structural engineer or a construction management guy or a real estate or mechanical, electrical. It may be from business management, any stakeholder working in the construction sector for buildings, infrastructures, cities. They have a lot to do with respect to BIM, and BIM is not just a software as John was telling. It's about digitally managing the projects, and it's more about the data management. And the research on these lines have been happening in a big way, roughly 100 countries by now, and it becomes a critical that BIM is also maturing. As we are maturing in our skills and competencies for this area, BIM is also maturing. Down the line, probably in another 5 to 10 years, you will have a fully matured BIM for going further. And looking into the kind of transformations to happen, there's a kind of digital initiatives in each of the countries. Roughly 40 countries have this BIM forums, which drive the digital transformation in their countries. And we in India also have an India BIM Association. We have a strategic collaborations with Canada BIM Council, BIM Forum Brazil, Turkey, Hong Kong, Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand, Taiwan, UAE, and few other countries, few other European countries. So the main agenda here is we drive the education, and we drive the events, conferences, connects. We also drive the policies. It's mainly to connect the people of different service areas to come together for delivering the services. And these are the countries where you can see such BIM forums and initiatives. Well, one of the good thing is our India BIM Association is something little bit older than many other forums. For example, Brazil was a recent initiative. UAE was a recent initiative. Roughly 10 plus initiatives are happened after our initiative started. We started way back in 2016. So you just Google India BIM Association, you'll find the forum portal, and you are welcome to become a student member. And what do we do here? We actually build the digitalization system, ecosystem, to make sure that transformation happens in the country. How do you provide a service in the market? You need a technology, you need a hardware, you need a good network from a technology side. For the policies, you need a BIM standards, you need a research and development, you need education, you need a regulatory bodies to coordinate on that. For industry oriented, you need all the clients, design, contractors, PMCs, facility maintenance, all the teams to adopt those technologies and standards. So we make sure that these connects are set up in the market so that the transformation happens good in the country. And we do collaborate with several national forums and initiatives and ministries and institutes to make sure that kind of transformation is going from the student level where they get transformed and then goes to the policy level where the ministries brings into the requirement of BIM as a mandate, and then the mid scale where the industry which actually support these initiatives to happen. So we do connect all these areas, and a lot of awareness keeps happening in our from our society, but many of them were live before, and most recently due to COVID, from past 1.5 year we are doing all online. So this is how, like, we connect sometime somewhere and then we are able to share the knowledge and the information with the people. And I do believe I've shared some books with your professor John, roughly 30 to 40 books on BIM. John, please do share with your students, maybe interested topics they can select and work on it. And also for your research in the coming year, there are plenty of publications, research papers I've shared. Probably John will be able to help you out on some of the research areas, and you can also choose me as a co-guide. I can support you. I'm also part of your board of studies for civil department. So I will try my best to support for being part of the board. Just 1 second. So we're looking into the kind of developments in BIM in different countries. This is not a small list, right? You can see there are more than 25-30 countries where BIM has become a key requirement, even for the public procurements and also for the state levels and also some of the key private clients. And that is nothing new. If you can see, it started somewhere in 2007-8, and then went further, and different years there's a kind of initiatives in different countries, right? So, and it's also going further, like if you see Peru 2022, they're making it a requirement, Brazil 2021. Yeah, so it has become a key requirement in the industry to go further. So no matter you are sitting in Chennai, Vellore, or another city or other country, you have to transform being a civil engineer and being especially getting specialized in construction management or structural. That's a key requirement, skill and competency for you. But don't confuse thinking that I learn this software, I become a BIM professional. No, there are different categories of BIM skills which you have to learn. You want to be a technical or a managerial or leadership. It depends on what skills you're going to learn. And there are also ISO standards available for standardizing the BIM implementation. But challenging thing is there is no national annex for India for using that yet. And there are a set of standards from different countries. If you want, if you're keen on understanding these standards, I can also share you the link. Please get connected. Probably you have one WhatsApp group, I think. LP was telling that there's a group. I'll be able to share you some materials. And being part of the Bureau of Indian Standards now, part of the construction management panel, I'm setting up a BIM committee now for formulating some BIM standards and guidelines which can ease our BIM implementation in different industries. And education, today we are having a session for coordinations, but it has already started 3 decades ago in different countries. Recently, I shared one summer program with also Professor John, which was from Stanford 2 days ago. It was a 2 continuous days summer program, John, and if people would have not got it, you can share them the recordings. Probably they will also share the recordings of the summer program. It was a continuous 2 days summer program from Stanford University. So some of
so was the difficulty, Dr. Amarnath, when I was trying to join in. But anyway, if the recordings are available, it will be very nice. Thank you.
Okay. So for sure, it will help. And also there are a lot of events happening. You get the connects. Probably if I'm part of that WhatsApp group, whatever you created, I will also share the upcoming sessions with you. There is a CII event which is coming up in another 2 days. There are some FTP programs coming up. There is some other events coming in. So there are a lot. I cannot remember them, but frankly, if I am part of the group, I will make sure that I will be sharing those connects. And there is a lot of there are a lot of events, global events happening, which I'm part also. Then people get to know what's happening globally in these lines. And with respect to education in BIM, it's already there in 30, 40 countries in Tier 1 universities, and it's very keen being VIT. You have to take some steps. Just today, yesterday, I was in Symbiosis Board of Studies meeting, and they're also taking up initiative to have 1 year executive program. Something like this, we have to plan out, which will help our students to upgrade themselves for what the industry is demanding. When I say industry, it's not about the Indian market alone, it's about the global requirements. And when it comes to BIM, one side you are learning a particular software. It may be for a modeling or a planning or estimation or a safety, quality, logistic, procurement, digital twin development and audits or green building automation. There are 20 plus softwares you will be using in a project lifecycle, but trust me, you don't need to learn all of them. Being a civil engineer, if you're a construction manager, you should focus more on construction management technologies of BIM and a set of knowledge areas which are relevant to become a construction manager for a digital projects. And also, if you're a structural engineer, you can focus more on a structural tools for the modeling, analysis, and few other coordination tools. So it again depends on what job role you play in the projects. It's not a common education for all of us. And I do strongly believe that all of you are civil engineers here. So you don't need to learn the modeling. Sorry, I have a small kid, 2 years old. He keeps opening the door and he's coming in. Sorry for that. So there's a different skills, and if you are into civil engineer, you don't need to learn a modeling softwares like Revit, SketchUp, or you can still learn a Civil 3, or you can do structural modeling, but not on architectural modeling and all. That's a wrong direction for you to be a civil engineer. Being a civil engineer, our key goal is converting the virtual into reality, right? So architects are there to visualize and plan out what to be done. But as a civil engineer, we have to bring them into reality. So we have to focus more on a field BIM activities. That means once I get a BIM model from the design team, how do I use that for the site activities? You can use it for time planning and monitoring, cost planning and monitoring, safety, logistic planning, procurement planning, XYZ things, and taking the changes on the site and updating back to the model. Use it, integrate with AR, VR things. There are a lot of other activities you have to do. You have to focus on those skills, which is rare to learn from the Indian market because Indian market still do not understand what kind of skills are really required for what kind of professionals. So, I mean, these slides I don't want to discuss. This one just gives you a clarity on what kind of skills a BIM professional will have. It can be a technical, operational. Technical is more of you develop a model, drafting, managing that BIM model. Operational is about developing the design, doing the simulations out of that, and doing the quantifications. Functional skills are more about how do you collaborate with other stakeholders, how do you facilitate and ease the project management. Implementation is about developing the BIM object libraries, standardizing the implementation, providing the technical trainings. Administrative skills are focusing more on how do you do the e-tendering and procurement, contract management. How do you get the right skilled professionals for the projects? Support is more about data, network support, equipment, software troubleshooting, this kind of activities. Managerial is about leadership, strategic planning, organization management, these areas. R&D is about change management is a very critical thing in any organization. How do you bring the change management and industry engagements, collaborations? So depending on the kind of role you play in a project, you may be a BIM modeler, coordinator, or you may be a safety engineer, quality manager, QA QS person, or you may be a project manager, facility manager, you may be project director, or you may be BIM strategist, BIM strategy coordinator, manager, digital director. Different roles are there in a project. So for different roles, it's a combination of these skills. And it doesn't come with learning one software from one vendor. Frankly speaking, there are 20 to 30 tech vendors providing the BIM solutions, more than 200, 300 softwares available in the market. So which one you want to learn? You want to go for a work on infrastructure projects, you have a different softwares. You want to work on a building sector, you have a different software solutions. For a smart cities, you can go with Dassault. For buildings, you can go with Autodesk. For infrastructure, you can go with Bentley. And if you are looking for an open BIM, there are solutions like Acker, Bexel, and few other solutions. Today morning, I had a meeting with Vectorworks. They are very good for architects. So it all depends on what kind of projects, what role you play, and you have to learn those softwares. And it's not mandatory that any company you go will be using that softwares. The main thing is not about how to learn the user interface. It's about how to actually do the work using that solutions, because user interface will be almost similar with other solutions. And today we hear a lot of things like prefabrication, IoT, laser scanning, construction automation, drone usage, 3D printing. All of these are successful today because of the data management, and it's all integrated with BIM. And that these are the things about the phases of the project and how BIM gets matured. You would have heard of BIM model getting 100, 200, 300, 400 level of details. And the key thing I want to discuss with you is this slide. And after this, I will stop my discussion because most of the sessions are happening. I will give the recordings, or you can attend the direct sessions. I will be discussing most of these. Today, I want to know about your actual concerns, So what we say is man ke baat, understand what you really are concerned about. So this is very important slide. Please listen to me here. This is about the life cycle stages on the x-axis: design, construction, operation, and dismantling, right? On the y-axis, you can see the cost, right? So red curve is something without BIM, what is the cost? Blue curve is something with BIM, what is the cost? Okay. And you may ask me a question, sir, in a design phase, without BIM is very cheaper, then why are we going with BIM? And if you come to the construction, with BIM, it's actually cheaper. In the capex phase, you are able to save roughly 10% of the construction cost. And during the OPEX phase, again, you are able to save roughly 10% by bringing in BIM. The only two places where implementing BIM becomes expensive is in design, because you are investing for the software, you are investing for the hardware, you are investing for the manpower, skill development, all of these things. So it's something more than as usual, right? For a CAD base, you don't invest much. For the for the draftsman, you are available for a cheaper price for the salaries. But if it's a BIM people, they're a little bit expensive. So the expenses are a little bit high in the design phase. You get the BIM model. Then we, being a construction professionals, we should able to use that BIM model for the site activities. So as I already said, what are the site activities? You have to focus on those lines. What exactly we have to do in the site related learning? What skills and competencies you need for this construction phase? Because you are the key people to bring this 10% capex return on investment. And then when you are handing over the facility, that is nothing but you are giving a digital twin of the facility. What is this digital twin? Till the design, you have done a BIM, that is LOD 350 model, then update 400, fabrication, everything. On the site, whatever the changes you are updating back to the model, then it becomes a digital twin. It's nothing but a virtual asset of your real facility. Okay. So you are handing over the digital twin to the client and the operation team so that they can integrate for the facility management. And when you are integrating for the facility management, you can see it's a little bit expensive here, because you have to again procure a facility management tools for the smart facility management, integrate that, and also train your FM professionals. So the cost with BIM is a little bit expensive for the first 2 years. And way further, another 3, 4 decades or 5 decades, it becomes much cheaper. The overall operation cost, you can save roughly 10%. And today, our Indian market, I will tell you, 80% of the BIM professionals, 80 to 90% of BIM professionals have the skills only for this design capability. Somewhere really 10% people have this construction capability, that is civil engineers. And many people are misguided to go for the design related activity. When they say you want to learn BIM, yes, then go and learn Revit. Go and learn this software. This is what you are misguided. So that is not going to help you if you are a construction professional. An architect has something to do with respect to design, and also a structural engineer or a mechanical. But being a civil and to construction management and the other activities, Your focus is on this construction phase. How do you use the BIM model? It's not about how to develop the BIM model. I hope you understood. If you're able to learn on these lines, it's pretty good. You have very good job opportunities globally, locally. And as I said, there are no professionals to support this. The supply versus demand has worsened very much. Most of the EPC companies, starting with Tata, Reliance, Adani, Shapoorji, L&T, Afcons, any company you take, all of them, they need currently this construction capable people. How do they use BIM for field activities? Okay. Coming into the facility maintenance, until you give the digital twin FM people, they cannot go further, right? So hope you understood where you are actually going to work on.
Sir, thank you, sir. It was really
So
enlightening. Can I ask a question, sir?
yeah, I mean, I'm done with my discussion. So it's more about.
Sir, what would you suggest the first year structural engineering students like me? How should we approach BIM?
So you are a structure engineer.
So we have got a
You
mix
have to
of
focus on your structural.
yes.
Yeah. So number one, being a structure engineer, you can focus on some of the BIM tools which are helping you for doing the model, structural model development, and also to do the structural analysis. There is a separate software for structural modeling, and also there's a separate software for structural analysis. And also you should learn how to do the coordination, because when you're bringing in architecture, structure, MEP, and fire protection interior models, the clash detection which happens. So you should be part of that committee meeting to do the clash detections and resolutions. So you have to learn modeling software with respect to structure. You have to learn analysis software with respect to structure. You have to learn the coordination tool and also the common data environment tool. And you can actually which tool you have to learn. It can be from an Autodesk, it can be from a Bentley, it can be from Akka, it can be from Bexel, any vendor. But you have to know which kind of projects you're going to pitch in as a structure engineer. If you're going more of infra projects, then I would suggest you to go to Bentley side. If you're going more for a building sector, you should go more on a Autodesk side. Or if you're going for more of a SME, small mid-scale companies, they cannot afford Autodesk and Bentley solutions, so they're not in the BIM. You should go with something like Akka, this kind of solutions, which are work.
Okay,
you
so
so
sir,
much.
we can learn ETABS and Revit structure. So
Yeah, you do have Revit structures. You also have Tekla. You also have Akka also has a structural software. So every tech vendor have a software on a structural. I'm not suggesting you to go only with Autodesk structures, okay? Not for Revit structures alone, because people have misunderstood, and people are still learning to understand what is the difference between open BIM and the closed BIM. Open BIM means I'm using a particular software and I'm developing a deliverable out of it. I should be able to use the deliverable to some other solution. But closed BIM solutions do not let you to work with other solution providers. But open BIM solutions will let you to integrate with other solutions, so interoperability issues will be less. So focus more of a open BIM solutions rather than the closed BIM solutions. Today, if you ask me which are the closed BIM vendors, I would say Autodesk, Bentley, Dassault, Trimble. All of these are closed BIM currently. They are also opening up now to come on integrated BIM requirements. But focusing more on a open BIM, there are solutions like Akka, Bexel, Ecodemus, and Invicara, and Vectorworks, Nemetschek, Graphisoft. There are many other solutions on these lines.
thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Amarnath. And friends, one of the very important things which you can do is get trained on these technologies. Please do not think BIM is a software. BIM is a process, right? I will hand over to to Architect Lakshmi Prasad. Sir, I know you have been having a very long day and tough day, and I'm sure that our students also have a lot of questions on BAM to you. And over to you, sir. And thank you so much, Dr. Amarnath, for pitching in.
Good evening to everybody. I hope all of you are hearing me.
Yes, we are able to see you.
Yes, sir.
Good evening,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. See,
Good evening, sir.
for a brief introduction about me, I'm an architect practicing since 1986. I started my career making drawings out of pencil, and then now I have been a student of BIM, and I have learned BIM and I have understood what is BIM. And the way ahead I see for any consultant, for any expert to be in this field is BIM. This is what I understand. Based on my experience of being an architect, so what was happening was that we used to prepare drawings, and those drawings used to be used for construction. There, everything would end, and the data would not be carried forward for either facility management or maintenance or asset management or whatever it is. What is happening through BIM, what I have learned for the past 2 years, in fact, Dr. Amarnath helped me to understand this BIM as a subject. And what I understand from this particular subject is that whatever we used to design, it is documented. Why it is documented is the question. Why it is documented is to maintain it properly. How it has been, how it has been designed, how it has been constructed, and how it has to be maintained. All these things are put together on a common data platform which will carry up to the asset management. So what is very important is the life of the project or the building or whatever we do in architectural engineering or construction AEC field will be will be getting the scope to maintain, to properly manage the property, whatever has been developed. Till now, we have a lot of buildings which doesn't have any records. But what happens here is that there is record built. There are every detail of the project is all put together. It is all put as a document for people to properly manage. This is what I understood. I don't have any particular presentation as such. And maybe next time when we meet, I will prepare my. We will discuss something on PPT or whatever it is. Right now, I want the session to be continued as an interactive session. You may be keen to understand what was happening in the field of the design, in the field of construction management, in the field of facility management, and what it may be for the future. This is where I would like to use the next session time to answer. I would like to answer the questions rather than explaining anything. Dr. Amarnath has given a beautiful perspective of BIM. What is BIM? How it has evolved, and how it has to be used, and what are the careers that you can develop, what are the advantages of BIM. He has given a clear picture. Now it is time for you to ask questions based on whatever he has presented and based on my experience of just getting into BIM. And I'm thrilled, and I would like to make a statement in front of all of you. My career is extended till for another 20-25 years. Without BIM, I should have stopped my practice. And this is what has been given by this BIM as a subject, and which will be the way ahead. You are all quite young. You are all people who are getting into the field. So I would like to share all my experience. So over to the audience to ask your innocent questions or matured questions. I'll try to answer to the best possible extent from my end. John, I want this session to be more interactive. I like always sessions to be interactive. I want people to participate and come out with questions.
Right. Friends, I request you to, like you can just start off with any of the questions. Please don't think that it is silly. Don't think it's elementary, because I've had association with both Dr. Amarnath and architect Lakshmi Prasad. And in all of these things, we are very passionate to clarify some of the misconceptions. And believe me, many of the doubts which or statements which you have heard from top people at least shocked me, and I'm sure shocked Dr. Amarnath and the architect Lakshmi Prasad when we talk especially about BIM. So please you can ask your questions now.
So may I?
Yes, please, Ashutosh.
Hello, sir. Sir, my
Hello.
question is, what would you suggest young structural engineers, like we are in first year right now, so how should we approach BIM? Which software should we learn, and like all these details? Can you please tell us?
Yeah, I think the question is already answered by Dr. Amarnath. I think that was the first question. But basically, structural engineer is a civil engineer. So basically, your involvement starts from the structural engineering, structural design to simulating or modeling, and then you are also into other areas like during execution, that is on the field, your involvement will be too much. So basically, what is very important to you is understand where as a civil engineer comes into picture as a in the whole process of BIM. First, it is design, and after the project is properly designed, then it goes to execution stage. During the design stage, your role as a structural engineer, your role as a cost, and you have to evolve the quantity, you have to arrive at the cost. All these activities are related to a civil engineer. So it is you have to select according to what we have understood from Dr. Amarnath's perspective is very clear, that we have to go for open BIM solutions. It is not that we have to stick to what we were doing. We were using softwares which were all traditional, and secondly, which were all costing very high. Now you have open BIM solutions wherein they are all, like, when it comes to affordability for somebody who has started his company, it would be very reasonable. So one of the software which I am trying to get acquainted with is ACA. It is an Italian software wherein from architectural to civil engineering to management to facility management and then to asset management, they have solutions everybody. And the sort of cost that I have heard is every month it should be it could be even 3,000, 4,000 rupees, which is quite affordable. So the question that I would like to answer directly, I would like to answer you, the young boy who asked about which software you have to use. There are multiple softwares available. You can contact anybody who is an expert and select out of that whichever is open BIM, whichever can match to work with anybody. Like if you use AutoCAD, you have to keep using only AutoCAD solutions. If you, any of the solutions which we have been using now is not affordable for any purpose during the process of BIM. So you select whichever is open, whichever can mingle with other solution providers, and you will be able to practice BIM properly. It is very important that you make the right selection of software, which is available, which you can Google find out, and you can. I don't want to name anything because there are multiple solutions. This is my answer to your questions.
Thank you, sir.
John, what I can do is
Yes, sir. Yes, Dr. Manath.
there's one image which shows about different softwares for different phases.
Okay.
Probably
Okay.
we can share it on the group,
Yes. I am also in the process of creating. I've created a WhatsApp group, and I'll be sharing the details with our friends here. So maybe once that is done, you please put it on that group, sir. And yeah, one of the things I'm just going to Architect Lakshmi Prasad, sir. Sir, the first question which Ashutosh had asked was how should I approach BIM? So this is a interesting question which we would like to hear from you, sir.
Okay, I would like to share how I approached BIM. I went through a proper training under Dr. Amarnath. So it was a 4-month program every Saturday. Yes. Hello.
Sir, actually, it was an echo, sir. It was an echo, please.
Okay. So I just went through a proper training. It used to be a Saturday, Sunday program, Saturday evening and Sunday morning. 2 hours program, 2 hours training session, and Dr. Amarnath gave a fantastic perspective of how BIM has to be approached. So it is basically what I understand, what I understood. Still, I am learning. What I understood as a senior architect, I have practiced for the past 35 years, and as I told you, I started practicing from pencil drawings. Now, then I shifted to the next phase was rotring drawings, and then it was AutoCAD. Now it is BIM. So how I got into this, and as I made a statement that my professional career is extended for the further 20 years at least. I mean, I'll be able to practice because I'll be aligning with BIM. So how I learned is through training programs, through the assignments that he gives, through the training sessions that he has given. So this is basically the approach for you to get into BIM. And what I see as a perspective, as something for the future, is that there is no other way that you can go for efficient projects handling or efficient building design solutions or efficient assets to be managed without BIM. Without this, it is not possible for anybody to really make a project on to use the word efficiency. You have to use BIM. This is what it is. So with that commitment, with that with the desire to learn, you have to get into a sort of a training. Unfortunately, India doesn't have any college teaching BIM directly. It is only through training programs you will have to approach and learn BIM.
In this light, I'll also probably tell all of you, many of you may not have heard about, Dr. Simon. He's a BIM enthusiast, and he's also doing a special program with Dr. Amarnath. And he knows architect Lakshmi Prasad also. So maybe like those of you are keen, can approach me, approach Professor Simon, and also architect Lakshmi Prasad is very kind to. He is told that he wants to share all his experience with all of you and mentor you. So you can keep in touch with him and also understand better about about BIM. It's actually working. It's a working style. Right. Thank you so much. I hope your question is answered, Ashutosh.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Is there any other question any of you would like to raise, please?
Yes, sir. Hello,
Sir,
sir.
may I?
Yes, I think I'll ask Anusri to start. If you, I think, okay, Anusri's name seemed to come up first. Anusri, I think you wanted to ask a question. Please. Please unmute and speak.
One thing I want to ask is, first of all, good morning, good evening to all. One thing is that there are many new technologies coming, like from many building replacement materials and new technologies coming. How is it going to affect the way we approach BIM and our schoolings, our education system has been really rooted, like for the many softwares that many of you have already mentioned. So how is it going to be a challenge by the upcoming civil engineers?
Jan, should I take the question?
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Okay. Basically, what you are talking is construction technology. Am I right? Yeah. Am I right? Yeah. See, construction technology, if it is aligned with BIM, then it can be a part of any group which is executing the project. Say construction technology, there are many construction technologies which are evolved, which are already evolved, and which are going to also evolve. So based on this, they have to really put up their energy to align with BIM. Then only we will be able to get them into our to a stream wherein BIM system, BIM process can happen. So what is very, very important, see, there are a lot of technology. I mean, whatever, whichever be the technology, whichever be the techniques that they have been using, they should be available to give their services, give their details according to BIM. Then only the future system will be proper.
I want to ask something specifically like the dome technology or light concrete, light cast, and something like like many of the things that we see is like patented workout. Some of companies do it and patented that as a technology, their technology. So how will be it be a challenge for us? Like we have been studying like with the ISO, everything is in ISO standards and all. So how will it be a challenge for us? Like
No.
even if we study BIM, the basic thing we have been studying for 4 years, or like for our seniors, it will be like 6 years. So it has been rooted in us for the codes and all. So how will it be affecting us if we want to go out for the like foreign or something?
See, today I was in discussion with a drone company about a project which I had to, through which I have to make a presentation on Monday. See, what is very important is, in fact, all the gadgets, that all the equipments that are used in construction field or management or whatever it is, are also aligned with BIM. They are providing their data based on the BIM process. The system, the discipline of BIM is properly followed, has to be followed, in fact, and it is followed through a proper alignment with BIM system. So you are talking about drone. I mean, I think you have been talking about other sort of like, what are the technologies that are now going to be used, that are already used. So all these things, it has to fall in line with the process. They also have to, their data should be linked to BIM. So that is where that those things are getting done, at least here in India. It might have been done in other countries, but that is getting done. That system is getting properly tailored according to the requirement of the field. So it is something which is going on. These technologies which are quite at least new to India are all getting tailored into the system, and they all of them have to fall in line with BIM for making efficient BIM model which can be used for facility management and also for asset management.
Thank you, sir. Arul Rasikar, I think you were wanting to ask a question. Arul Rasikar, there were two people who were asking questions at the same time. I think it was Arul Rasikar. Am I right? I mean, or anybody else? I'm sorry if I missed out the person who wanted to ask the question. Yes, yes, Rajsi.
May I?
Yes, Rajsi.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir. My name is Rajasi Vibhute. I am a final year student of MTech Construction Management. So, sir, my question is from 3D to 8D, at what level and how much BIM is being actually adopted by the companies in India? And also, will this COVID time affect the use of BIM by the industry?
Yeah, your first question is how it has been adopted in India.
Yes.
I have, through our training programs, I have come to know that it is up to LOD 200 to 300 we have reached. We are not able to go to 500, 400, 500 level. The reason is that the field, that is the as-built drawings are not getting into a proper alignment with the design model. So it is an ongoing process. So all of you have got very good future. All of you can really get trained properly so that you can all be a part of achieving that goal of getting into 500, 550. In fact, it is now more than that. So those things are still going on. In fact, Dr. Amarnath is spearheading all those process. I'll tell you why it might have not happened. See, up to design stage, it is possible. In fact, architecture, structural engineering, and MEP, they can all be put together. But when it goes to the site for execution, those models being properly read, those models being properly utilized, those models properly being reformed into the next level of detail is missing. So till the design stage, India is acute. So for execution, I think it may take some more time. And also
Can I
for
add?
management and asset management.
Can I add on for this?
Yeah.
So in fact, as per the dimensions, what you're saying, 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D. 3D is a modeling,
Yes, sir.
4D is a planning, 5D is a cost planning, 6D is a sustainability, 7D is more of a FM. 8D, I don't know what is the dimension. Different people use different terms. But today, if you ask, as LP was clearly telling that we are able to develop a good models. We are also doing the time planning. Cost planning is to some level integrated because the current ERP system in each of the companies are a little bit outdated. They're not able to integrate the BIM solutions, and they're not ready to change. These are some challenges for the complete 5D integrations. 60 is more of a sustainability where an architects have to take up initiative, and 7D is more until you completely give 5D 60 and you give the digital twin for the FM team, they cannot do 7D. So this is the current situations. In fact, if you ask what COVID has done, COVID has actually helped for BIM implementation further. Some of the examples are Central Public Works Department has make up initiative now. For all of their institutional projects, they're bringing in as a BIM and common data environment as a requirement. And most of the clients, they cannot visit the sites directly, so they made CD as a pre-requirement. So in fact, COVID being the situation, it's a driving factor for BIM, not a stopping factor.
Thank you, Dr. Amarnath, for adding on that. Especially we are, the construction management students are trying to work on an open ERP solution. And we hope that we are able to integrate it better with some of the systems which we have now. And Uma, I'll just come back to your question. There is a question from Jayanti. She's not able, she's having some audio issues and she couldn't type on the chat because she's joined in as a guest. So LP sir, she wants to know what challenging work you've taken up as an architect and probably how BIM has helped in the project.
Yes. When people ask this question, I answered the question like this. I have designed airports and I have also designed crematorias. For going up, I have done some services. That is the limitation that I always talk. And right now I am working in as a consultant in about 13 districts of Karnataka, hospitals, school projects. Anything that is around colleges, public buildings, so many things I'm trying to work on. But how I'm getting adapted to to this particular BIM is recently I was with personally with Dr. Amarnath. I showed one of my portfolio what we have done, what we had done. And he said, you have come to a level wherein you are able to produce drawings up to, I think, LOD 300. He is hearing me. Yeah, he can correct me if I am wrong. But it is very easy to adapt yourself to design aspects. Maybe your structural engineer, you'll be able to convince and align him towards BIM. You may be able to do away with even MEP people. But after that, contractors getting into BIM has become a big problem. Because tomorrow, I'm going to visit 18 of my sites on a single day. Morning 5:30, I'm leaving, visiting various cities to participate in different meetings. There, the contractor will only depend on my visit, on visits from our office. In fact, Dr. Amarnath was with me on one of such visits. He told me only one thing, that these things can be handled, you sitting in your own office using drones, using scanners. You will be able to manage. You don't have to visit. You don't have to travel like this. You will be able to do it. So contractor is not able to take us to the next level. Why it is practical? If you want me to answer that question, is that because they are not able to afford. The biggest thing is they are not able to manage within the limits. So they don't want to invest too much on this BIM infrastructure in their office. But it will happen. It will happen to an extent. Once it becomes mandatory, it should happen. The government should take it seriously. At least to the government buildings, they should be able to make a tender document wherein all these facilities are made available. So I am able to produce drawings in with my own limitations to an extent wherein it can be considered as a whole package for up to the design stage. Architecturally, yes, we have done it, but structural alignment is also petty, and MEP alignment is the next stage that we are trying to achieve. In fact, all our old drawings we have used Revit, and we have converted old drawings, and we are keeping it ready for other like structural for MEP to make their models and to put this together as a total design model. So this is what I could do and what I have been doing. But my tendency to update myself using the training program is continuous, and I have been trying to do it, and it was a short period that, like, for the past 4 5 months I have been working with about 11 people from our office who are right now, because of COVID, working online. They are all preparing drawings up to that design stage. But unless and until we get contractors who are aligned with them, it may be difficult for me to take it to the next level.
Dr. Amarnath, I have one question on the chat. And being a beginner in BIM and a part of a wide network of BIM professionals, how can someone stand out or be unique in the same field?
Okay. Well,
So
it's very
you have to be part of a group of professionals and also stand out from the ordinary.
Yeah. So the most important thing is you have to understand what skills are missing in many other people and what skills are on demand in the market. These two things are very clear. If you just follow everyone, then you will be one of them. If you want to be unique, you have to understand what is that unique skills you have to develop and which market really misses. For example, if you ask for 50 to 100 professionals, have a survey, you ask what you are learning, and everyone follow, this person is doing that, I will also do that. Then obviously the recruitment team will know that, okay, if you cannot work for this, someone is ready to work for less than what you work, then they will hire them. So the most important thing in the current market is not about learning a software and implementing it. That kind of skilled professionals are plenty. I can say the supply has become more than the demand. But when it comes to some leadership initiatives and who can drive the companies into the transformation, that kind of people are missing. Or even if you take the field BIM implementation capable people, like I will be able to use the BIM model, do the safety simulations, or do the quality audits, or I can become a ISO 1950 auditor, or I will be the key person to do the soft landing of projects. I take care of key coordination between the clients and the contractor and other stakeholders. These kind of skills are not there in the people. Anyone you ask, they will say, I learned this software. And at least if you're learning a software, learn something related to the field or learn something more on digital twin. It will at least help you to go further. And for learning a software, you don't need to go for any training institutes. Each tech vendor provides the software for free for the student and the professor, and they also provide the learning materials for free on their portals. So for learning a software, you don't need a training, but if you really want to understand BIM and take it to the next levels, you need a very aligned trainings. And if you are ready to spend your time, you have persistence and passion, that also you can do on yourself, because whoever has come as experts today, it's not that someone has taught them and they're here. They have done a deeper research and developments and understanding market level study, and then they become that level expertise. So one thing is you will be able to save time. Like someone has learned through 4 or 5 years, and you can learn in 3 to 4 months. That's what you can save, in terms of through the trainings. Speaking for a software learning, I can give you one recommendation. I'll just share you one slide here. If you are planning for SMEs, mega scale companies are already doing BIM. You don't need to worry about it. For small mid scale companies, they are not still about to go with BIM because the key factor is BIM is expensive. This is what comes to their mind. BIM is not expensive. The softwares you're using is a little bit expensive, but there are also software solutions which are cheaper. If you see Akka, you just go to the Akka software. They have all the software solutions related to management systems, common data environment, for viewing the models, for class detections, for building design, landscape, MEP modeling, for AI rendering, and also real-time integration with BIM, VR integrations, for structural modeling for concrete, steel, and masonry, for time cost planning, for time planning, IFC model integrations, and for time-related and quantity takeoff, safety, scaffolding, energy-related solutions. All of these are free for you. If you see here training, you do have a training materials for each of them, very well guided. You can go to courses here. So you get to know different technology solutions here and you can learn them. And the same applies for all the tech vendors. If you want to go for Autodesk, they do have a training materials. Go to Bentley, they do have. And the only limitations, it depends on what level of details their solutions training materials are there. They may be limited, but looking into Akka, I see that they're a little bit deeper. It doesn't need any support for learning. You can directly pitch in here and you'll be able to learn them. See, quick start course. Like this, every tech vendor provides this support. And also another one, if you say for learning fundamental, me along with my professors in Taiwan before has developed some courses, and it's on Coursera. It's a free one to enroll. So this is Patrick. He was my professor before. This course is free for you to enroll. It's a very basic learning. This won't help you to go to the expertise level on what is missing in the market. At least to get a basic understanding on what is BIM, what's happening in the that you can learn with these kind of things. And also Udemy. Now, this is BIM fundamentals. Another one, this is BIM applications. And you go to Udemy, there are some short courses. They're very cheaper, 2,000-3,000 you pay and get them done. But all of these are, at a basic level. If you want to go on expertise level, as what you said, you need to go focus more on a leadership line because today there plenty of clients are mandating BIM and they all need a transformation to happen. And there is a need for strategic people who can help them align their transformation and set the roadmaps, make a proper decisions on investments and make sure that you develop a proper SOPs and things. So that those are critical skills which you have to learn to make sure that you can stand out when compared to other people.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amarnath. And one of the things Dr. Amarnath always, one of the things which he was nudging me towards was we need strategies, BIM strategies. So if you are able to become a strategist in BIM, I'm sure it's going to be a very nice thing. Sir, we'll take two more questions, if you please. Arshad and Uma. Uma, over to you, Uma. What's your question, please?
Good evening, sir. So I am from first year construction technology and management. So I wanted to know, where does BIM play a role in construction management, and what are the main challenges one can face while implementing or using BIM for a project?
Okay, wait 1 second. Let me show you some of the cases where for the construction management people pitch in. Just give me 1 minute. So this is one of the area because when it comes to the field BIM, you have to have the coordination meetings, and there is a BIM room set up, and people should be able to, I mean, construction management professionals should be able to coordinate for this kind of meetings, and whatever the coordination should be done, that can be activated. And then followed by this is for the BIM room for coordination meetings is one area. Another one is you have a digital details and mockups that can be given for the prefabrication, and especially the logistic planning where you can look into the construction phasing, construction material movement, labor sequencing, site planning, material delivery, loading and unloading of materials, and storage. All the simulations can be performed. There is a different solutions for these like Synchro, Fuser. Some of these softwares can help you to do that simulations. You can see the vehicle travel paths, crane movement, and construction material dumping, procurements. These kind of things can be planned. Safety reviews can be performed. There's also softwares in which can help you to do the safety planning. It will tell you where are the places you have to take the measures so that you can avoid the hazards. And also you can prepare such simulations on day to day. You can do the trainings for the site for safety. And field construction layout is one area where you are using such equipments and guiding the installation, prefabricated elements on the site, and also collecting the actual measures, actual positions of the facilities on the site and putting back to the BIM model to develop a digital twin. It can also be for a laser scanning for the site related activities where you do the progress monitoring on a phase wise to know are we behind or ahead, and also to capture the digital twin models. It can also be for fabrication where you give LOD 350 to 400 model, and they can use it with CNC machines and integrations. Many of the requirement, and also for architecture and structure, it will really help. And the next for documentation, you have a construction drawings that can be produced, which can help you for guiding on the site, and also for the shop drawings for the fabrication. And you will be capturing on day-to-day changes on the site and updating back to the BIM model. Then only you will be able to deliver the digital twin. It's about adding all the as-built information back to the model. And parallelly, if you're into contracts, legal issues, and disputes, there is a team which can sit on day-to-day. They can capture the data on the site. They can blockchain hashtag it so that any kind of disputes and issues come in, they can use the data for recovery. And they can use it for commissioning and handover. Like when you are handing over the facility, whatever the installations are done, you need to capture the data, put it back to the model. It should be able to be kind of guiding material for your facility management team. And this construction building information exchange, which is very critical when you're giving the data to the maintenance team, you should make sure that all the data is categorized and aligned for what the facility management team needs. There's some of these which I just wanted to show you. Let me not go deeper on all of these.
John, I would like to answer both the questions, which have been very beautifully answered by Dr. Amarnath. He has a total perspective, but me as an architect, me as a person in the field for the past 35 years, the first question was the kind of, I will give you an instance. While I was practicing in Abu Dhabi between 2008 to 2017, I heard this word BIM. Then why it was very attractive to me was when it comes to appointment of people to the officers, people who know AutoCAD were paid very, very less. The next level was Revit, but the best level was somebody who knew BIM. So that partly answers the question as to how you can stand out. If you want to stand out in the field of construction, in the field of project management, it is only through BIM. If you know BIM, then your appointments and your career building will become will be from a different level. That is the first question. It may be most basic, but that is the first thing that I would like to highlight. And I think the second question was asked by a first year student of building construction management. I would like to tell that this building construction management is whatever is taught in the college has to be changed, has to be renamed as building information modeling. Building information modeling is nothing but building construction management or technique or whatever you call it. Now we need more courses in colleges regarding the disciplines of BIM. How BIM is processed, the right word used by John is processed, has to be learned by the student. Building construction technologies, management and all these names should now get into this word, this phrase, building information modeling. Building information modeling is nothing but building construction management, according to me. I mean, I'm rash in making such statements with the sort of life that I have led, but this is my gut feeling that we need to change the course name as building information modeling rather than keep going with building construction management.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. John, sir, you're muted.
So thank you. Actually, we have a lot of good things in VIT, like the LIDAR, like we have the Oculus system. In fact, L&T uses that for visualizing, and many of the BIM discussions which they have for the project meetings, and it's amazing, right? IoT, drones, you name it. So all of these things are at your disposal. We have done some we have tried starting visualizing with drones. So Arshad, very quickly, can you just ask a question? Sir, I'd like to stop it by 9:30 because these people have been there from 7:30, and I know LP sir has been also having a long day, and Amarnath sir's son is, I'm sure, wanting to have him with him. So yes, Arshad, over to you, Arshad, please, very quickly.
Good evening, everyone. My question is to Dr. Amarnath, sir. Sir, when you were showing us a graph in the last slide, you showed that digital twinning is used in construction phase. So I wanted to know, like, what kind of application or implementation digital twinning has, like what kind of importance it plays when it comes to aspects like project tracking, like project progress, documentation, etc. And how do we approach to learn towards this digital twinning aspect?
Okay. Well, digital twin is not something special. In the design phase, you are developing what you are planning as a BIM model. And on a construction phase, you are trying to implement what you have planned, right? And we are implementing what you have planned. There is obviously a little bit of variations. It cannot be as same as what you have developed as a BIM model. Then whatever you have made the changes on the site, that you are updating back to the model to make it a replica of what your facility is on the site. That is nothing but a digital twin. People used to say BIM before, so this got stuck for only design. They didn't take it for construction updates. That's why a new term called iTwin by Bentley, digital twin by someone else, as-built models by someone else. They started bringing in so that, oh, people think there's something new and I have to do. It's the same model, and model keeps on updating. During the design you have planned, during the construction you are updating as per the site, and during maintenance you are updating based on the changes in the maintenance phase. Then we call it as a record keeping model or a digital twin model. Nothing but it's the same model, you keep on updating what is the current status. And coming into project planning and things you said, there is no link between project planning and digital twin. They are two different entities. Project planning is you're planning what you have to do on a day-to-day basis, and you are already doing that through MSP or Primavera or Excel sheets before, and they were static or dynamic. So many of the projects it's still static. They paste it on the construction site offices, and it still remains same. And a lot of changes and delays happen on the site. That's still happening in many companies. But when it comes to BIM, you are bringing in the 3D perspective to it. It means you're able to visualize what is the kind of progress in a visual format, wherein in a 2D you're only seeing, okay, this is activity, this is a kind of um, schedule, and this is the kind of details. When it comes to model, you are able to visualize it better. That's why it's going to add a 3D perspective. BIM is nothing but it's adding a 3D perspective for you, where you can visualize When I'm putting a 10 people into a group and having a meeting, when you have a BIM model, everyone thinking is on one side. If you put a drawing in front of them and ask them to coordinate, their thinking will be varied because what I visualize may be different from LP and from John. So that's where the 3D plays a major role. And coming into the information, because BIM is nothing but you have a model, which is a 3D perspective, and you have information, which is data, parametric data. And this parametric data is not managed before in a traditional approach. But with a BIM approach, you are adding the data on each and every phase, whatever the data is generated. And the standards clearly says that whatever data is generated by different parties have to be updated in a standard approach. That means any other stakeholder, when they want to access the data, they get the access to that data. And this is it. There is nothing extra than this in a BIM, but it's only a standard approach of managing it. I don't know if I've answered your question or confused you, but this is what I could answer now.
Oh,
Thank you, Dr.
okay, sir. Thank you.
It is what it is. And I'm sure that as they experience BM, they'll also agree. The last question will be from Ramakrishnan. Ramakrishnan, very quickly, can you just post your question to the experts here, please?
Hello, sir. I am actually in the final year of civil engineering. I wanted to know that what type of software can be used for urban planning in BIM, sir, if you could tell about it.
So you want me to take this question?
Yes, Dr. Amarnath, please.
See, every tech vendor have their solution. Since I was discussing about Hacker Page, I'm just showing that. Here, if you see, they have one software, just 1 minute. See, Edificious Land, landscape and garden design. And also for urban planning, even there are many other solutions from other vendors. So you just need to look in which softwares you really need from each vendor. I cannot specifically promote one technology vendor solution. And
Okay.
also today I'm discussing with Vectorworks, they also have for urban planning. And urban planning many of the times is done by architects. And today I was asking, do you also have licenses for students? Yes, they are very much happy if VIT want to collaborate, especially the civil department, because architecture department has already collaborated, I think. So if you want, they can also make an MOU with you, give your students the solutions for the landscape. So they do have a landscape solution here, if you see. You can do site designing and reporting, JS and planning, planting and hardscapes, irrigation, graphics and presenting. So all these features are there in this landscape solution. So
Sir,
there
this
is
will help more in urban planning, right? Like the software will be very useful in the coming years, right, for urban planning.
There are already people using even now, not for the future.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Thank you so much.
And this tech vendor is already in the Indian market from past 15 years.
Sir, how is the software called SiteCAD?
Guys, let us not worry too much about the specific names of software, because what I personally will tell is you have to explore them and take a decision whether it suits your purpose. But anyway, Dr. Amarnath, I'll just, if you have a point to add, you can please do it.
Well, I don't know. Saip, I know the vendor. I can connect you with another person called Amarnath itself. He is heading the Saip in India. So he can give you a better answer about how his solution is helpful. So please connect with me. I will connect you with Amarnath, who is heading Saip in India.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. I am really happy I attended the session. John, sir, could you please add us to the group or send some invite link?
What I'm actually doing is right now I'm sharing a very brief link to the to a feedback which I'm just asking. It should take more than 2 minutes. End of the feedback, there is a link to a WhatsApp group. You simply log in. I'll be sharing this with LP sir and also Amarnath sir, so they'll also be part of the group, and you guys also can be part of this group, and we will take this initiative forward, and please make use of the expertise of architect Lakshmi Prasad and Dr. Amarnath to further your knowledge on BIM and be a part of the transformation so that our country becomes really great. As all of them said, we need to look at open solutions. It might be easy to do it in a closed platform. However, please take this initiative. So many softwares have come out of the educational institutions, right? And I'm actually going to have a boot camp in Python. 9:30, I'm having a boot camp in Python, and the big vision is that these students are going to help in customizing these softwares, right? So, Dr. Amarnath, we are really very grateful for you to take the time. We know that you're coming at very short notice and you enriched the session. Lakshmi Prasad sir, you have been facing a lot of difficulties, and one of the in terms of getting to this place, but we really feel it is worth the wait, because even the students here, I must thank all of them. Almost there are 37 of them still in the room. I request all of you to please turn on your cameras. We will get a we'll take one photo shoot so that we get to see all of us. It will be a good memory for LP sir also and Amarnath, Dr. Amarnath. Thank you. Very quickly, please.
It was a great experience, sir. Really great. Attending this session, I'm happy I spent these 2 hours. Really.
Anybody else wants to add something? Yes, you're also welcome to share your this feedback from you is very valuable. Okay, I think most of us are.
Last sentence I want to add here.
Yes,
Lakshmi
sir.
Prasad is a person who has delivered roughly 3,500 government projects till. But another dimension is he has worked on a handmade drawings, CAD, and also into. I don't know if I will have that level of enthu to go further in another 3-4 decades. So hats off for him, and thank you for inviting me also, John, and also for all your students for patiently listening to me and my discussions. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
Closing words, sir.
I would like to tell everybody that I'm really impressed to share my thoughts, but I could not share it properly if I'm right. But I'm very sure that because I was losing time on the session, I requested Dr. Amarnath to join. That is one good thing that I did. And anyway, we will meet some other time with more interactions, which is very, very important. There is learning from both the ends. But I would like to tell finally one thing, that it is only the BIM discipline that is for the future. That is my gut feeling. That is what I have understood. Without BIM, we will not be able to come out with efficient building environment. Efficient building environment, if you have to bring in, which is going to be totally for about 50 to 60 years or 70 years, if you have to maintain, you need proper documentation. Because whatever buildings that we have doesn't have any documentation at all. So we don't know how to maintain it. But as Dr. Amarnath was suggesting, was explaining, giving a total perspective, we have documents even after 50, 60 years. Total documents for training, for maintenance, how it was designed, who designed it, and who has to do their training, and how it has to be repaired. Every detail will be documented. So this is construction management from design stage up to the segment stage. For all of you, if you have to be in the field, you have to be enrich yourself with field knowledge. And that happens not in the college, but through training programs, through your own efforts, till it becomes, till the university start, government starts recognizing this as a special course for transforming our nation. Thank you very much. And sorry that I made all of you wait. The reason was I usually maintain time. It was not possible because there were a lot of things that I had to face while coming back from my one of the meetings that I had to attend. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Good night. Sir, I'm
Thank you, sir.
just ending the meeting. Thank you so much for joining in.
Sir, the link.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry.
Actually, I'm in guest mode, so
Yeah, I'll share the link to the meeting, the recording. But please, all of you, fill in the feedback and join the WhatsApp group. Yeah. Thank you
but
so
I'm
much.
joined as a guest, so I'm not like able to view the link. So I will just mail you. Can you get send it to me on mail? I'll mail you right now.
Okay, I got a session right now. May I just do it after the session? I'll do it after the session for
Yes,
you. Okay.
sir.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
sir.
just mail me. I'll see what I can do. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
Yes, sir. I'm also having the same issue, sir. I'll mail you, sir.
No problem. No problem. Yes, just mail me.
Thank you so much,
Thank
sir,
you, sir.
for the opportunity.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good night, Amarnath sir. Good night, Titi sir.
Good night, sir.
Good night, everybody.